At 34 years old, the people in your office think you're quietly falling apart. Not because of your clothes, not because of your job, not because of anything you've ever said out loud. Because every single morning you pull into the parking lot in a 12-year-old Toyota Corolla. Faded silver paint, a passenger side mirror held on with electrical tape, an AC vent that only blows on the highest setting, and only when it feels like it. What none of them know is that the savings account on your phone has just crossed $312,000. And the reason it got there is darker and quieter and more uncomfortable than simple discipline. Before we go any further, if you've ever felt the pressure to look successful before you actually became successful, the pressure to upgrade the car, to upgrade the apartment, to upgrade the version of yourself that other people see before you've even figured out who you are, subscribe to this channel right now. Because somewhere in this story, you're going to hear one sentence. One quiet sentence that separates the people who build real freedom from the people who spend their entire lives just renting status from strangers. And once you hear that sentence, you'll start noticing it everywhere. In your friends, in your family, in yourself. Let's keep going. His name was Daniel. The car was a 2012 Toyota Corolla, silver, 187,000 miles. The driver's seat had a warm patch the exact shape of his lower back. The ignition took 2 tries on cold mornings, sometimes 3. The cloth seats smelled faintly of old coffee, and a road trip he took in 2018 that he barely remembered anymore. The AC squealed for the first 30 seconds every time he turned it on. The radio knob was missing. He changed stations by jamming the metal stub with his thumbnail. The check engine light had been on for so long, he'd stopped seeing it. People judged him for that car. Quietly, politely. The way people judge things they think you can't fix. He filled it up at the cheapest gas station in town. He parked it in the back row of every lot, every time, without thinking about it. The car was still the car. It started small. A coworker named Marcus leaning against the hood one Friday afternoon. "Hey man, you ever think about getting something newer? They have 0 down deals at the lot off Route 9. I could hook you up with my guy." Daniel just smiled. "I'm good." But Marcus kept looking at the car like it was a sick animal he felt sorry for. It was the valet at his cousin's wedding who slid into the driver's seat and visibly hesitated when the seatbelt didn't retract. It was the woman he went on a 3rd date with, who waited until the end of dinner to ask, "So, is this car like a temporary thing? Or—" It was his own mother, sitting across from him at a Sunday brunch, putting her hand on his and saying, "Honey, are you okay? Financially? Your father and we can help." That one cut the deepest. Pity, he was learning, hurts more than mockery ever could. Mockery you can fight. Pity assumes you've already lost. He walked back to the parking lot that afternoon, looked at the faded silver paint, the taped mirror, the dent on the rear bumper from a grocery cart in 2019. The car was still the car. Here is what nobody at that brunch knew. The average new car payment in America had just crossed $740 a month. Add insurance, full coverage on a financed vehicle, add the higher gas of a bigger engine, add the depreciation that quietly eats 20% of the value the moment the wheels touch the street. Most people don't realize that a car payment is not a payment for a car. It is a silent withdrawal from a future version of yourself that you will never get to meet. Daniel had done the math, quietly, on a napkin, years ago. That same $740 a month, redirected into a standard index fund for 10 years, grows into roughly $128,000. For 20 years, just over $540,000. For 30 years, well past $1 million. That was the trade. Every single month. A new car or a future. Most people make this mistake without ever knowing they made it. They feel the relief of the new car smell. They never feel the absence of the money that never grew. Daniel chose the absence. But discipline is not a straight line. It curves. It buckles. Sometimes, late at night, it almost breaks completely. There was a Tuesday in October. Daniel was lying in bed at 11:43, his phone glowing against his face, scrolling through a car listing app he had downloaded 3 days earlier and told himself he would delete the next morning. A black Audi A4, certified pre-owned, $612 a month for 60 months. He imagined pulling into the office parking lot in it. He imagined Marcus's face. He imagined his mother's relief. He imagined the woman from the third date saying yes to a fourth. For the first time in years, he wondered if everyone else was right. If maybe he was the one wasting his life. If maybe peace of mind was just a story broke people told themselves to feel better about not having nice things. He sat up in bed. He stared at the ceiling. He put the phone face down on the nightstand. He didn't sleep that night. That was the first night he almost gave in. It was a Saturday morning at the auto parts store on Maple. Daniel was looking for a replacement bulb for the left taillight. An older man at the counter, gray beard, oil-stained hands, watched him pay in cash, smiled a little. 12-year Corolla? Daniel nodded. Mine's a '04 Camry. 310,000 miles. Still goes. They stood there for a moment. The kind of silence between two people who already understand each other. Then the old man said it. You know what I figured out, late in life? A paid-off car sounds quieter than anxiety. Took me 40 years to hear the difference. He picked up his bag and walked out into the parking lot. Daniel didn't move for almost a full minute. He sat in the Corolla in the parking lot for a long time after that. The AC squealing, the seat creaking, the check engine light glowing faintly orange. And for the first time, the silence inside the car didn't feel like something to be embarrassed about. It felt like something he'd built. The months that followed changed nothing about Daniel. They changed everything about everyone around him. Marcus got laid off in February. The lease on his BMW had 11 months left, and the early termination fee was nearly $8,000 he didn't have. He stopped coming to lunch. The woman from the third date posted a photo of her new car in March. By August, she was posting about how stressful her finances had become. His cousin, the one with the wedding, called him at 11 p.m. one night, almost whispering, "Hey man, random question. How do you, save money? Actually save it?" Across the country, in offices and apartments and quiet driveways, the same story was playing out in millions of small, invisible ways. People who looked like they were winning were quietly drowning. People who looked like they were losing were quietly free. Daniel didn't feel proud. He didn't feel vindicated. He just felt, for the first time, that the silence in his car had been telling the truth all along. The car was still the car. It happened on a Thursday in late spring. A coworker had just gotten engaged. A few of them went out after work to celebrate. Daniel drove past a luxury dealership on the way home, slowed down without meaning to, and turned into the lot almost like the steering wheel had decided on its own. A salesman was on him in under 30 seconds. "This one just came in, certified, low miles, black on black. You'd look incredible in this." Daniel ran his hand along the door. He opened it. He sat in the driver's seat. Leather, cool, quiet. The kind of quiet money buys. He imagined the parking lot. He imagined the brunch. He imagined the third date saying yes. The salesman started talking about monthly payments. $688. Just a number. Just a small, monthly, manageable number. And then Daniel heard it. Not out loud, inside. A paid-off car sounds quieter than anxiety. He looked at his phone. The savings number. The years of small, invisible decisions stacked on top of each other like bricks nobody saw him laying. He stood up. He shook the salesman's hand. He said, "Thank you, I'm good." He walked back to the Corolla in the parking lot. He sat down in the worn patch shaped like his back. The engine took 2 tries to start. He drove home in silence. That night, Daniel sat at the small kitchen table in his apartment. No music, no TV, no one to call. He opened his phone. He opened the banking app. He pulled down to refresh the way he had 1,000 times before. The number loaded. $312,447. He stared at it for a long time. No champagne, no celebration, no social media post, no one to text. Just a quiet room, a glowing screen. A 34-year-old man who had spent 10 years being misunderstood by people who would never have the patience to understand him. And for the first time in 10 years, he realized he wasn't missing out. He had been winning the entire time. He just wasn't allowed to tell anyone. Something shifted in Daniel after that night. It wasn't pride. It wasn't smugness. It was something quieter than both. He stopped flinching when people commented on the car. He stopped explaining. He stopped feeling the small, reflexive embarrassment that had lived in his chest for almost a decade. He didn't need them to understand anymore. That was the freedom nobody had told him about. The freedom that doesn't come from the money. The freedom that comes from not needing permission to live the way you already chose to live. Marcus, eventually, asked him how he did it. Daniel told him the truth. Marcus nodded politely and never asked again. His mother stopped offering to help. The woman from the third date never called back. And one day, Daniel realized he hadn't thought about her in almost 6 months. The car was still the car. He was not. Maybe the biggest flex isn't looking rich. Maybe it's sleeping peacefully. Maybe freedom doesn't arrive looking impressive. Maybe it doesn't pull up in something black and shiny with a payment that someone else gets to admire. Maybe freedom arrives quietly, in a faded silver Toyota nobody respects, driven by a man nobody envies, sitting on a number nobody sees. Maybe the most expensive thing you will ever buy in your entire life is approval from people who are secretly drowning themselves. The car was still the car. He was free. If this story changed something inside you, even a little, subscribe to this channel. Because the next story is about the silent psychological trap keeping middle-class families financially stuck for entire generations without ever realizing they're inside it. And once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it.